Imagine the Japanese economy was a person. How would you describe this person?
Skilled sushi chef going out of his or her comfort zone and then looking to add maybe new ingredients and trying to make fusion dishes to adapt to more international customers.
In the Japan market, what comes to mind when you think about investing opportunity?
First thing that comes to mind would probably be the Nikkei 225 stock index. Think of it as Japan's own version of the S&P 500. So I think the key sector to keep an eye on, and which may come as quite a surprise to most of us, is that the Nikkei 225's tech sector, it comprises a larger portion of the Nikkei 225 than the S&P 500. The tech sector makes up about 50% of the Nikkei 225.
50%?
Yes, it's actually half of the Nikkei 225. And when you compare it to the S&P 500, it's just at around 30%. So all this makes the Nikkei 225 very sensitive to tech as well as the global AI trade. Surprisingly, video game companies are actually emerging as a safe haven.
Wow.
So we typically don't think of video game as a safe haven, but we're actually seeing more and more investors rotating back into video game stocks like Bandai Namco, Konami, Nintendo, and Sony. So these companies, firstly, they don't rely on the advanced chips or data centers. They are viewed as less exposed to global trade uncertainty. Something to look at as well would be the domestic-oriented companies, essentially companies that generate a majority of their revenue domestically. And this is because back in the first trade dispute in 2018, we actually saw domestic-oriented sectors like retail, finance, construction, and defense outperform international exposed sectors like automobiles and semiconductors. So just some names of like domestic oriented companies, I would say would be a company called Oriental Land. Again, this is probably not a company you're familiar with, but anyone who has been to Japan, you probably would have been to Tokyo Disney Resort at least once in your life.
Fair enough, yeah.
I think you'll be happy to hear that you can even trade Oriental Land as a stock, and it's actually the company that operates Tokyo Disney Resort, as well as any hotels and restaurants within the complex. If you have taken the Shinkansen, which I mentioned, you would be familiar with all the different railway companies, East JR, West JR, Central JR, and all these companies, surprisingly, are even tradable as an individual stock in the Nikkei 225.
That's for sectors. What are some of the key themes that we should be looking at?
Outside of sectors, I think so far this year, the biggest theme I'm seeing is that dividend as well as value stocks are actually outperforming. This is also in line with historical trends because typically the value style or value factor will outperform other factors like growth when interest rates are rising, because value stocks, they tend to generate more consistent, predictable cash flows that become more valuable when interest rates are high. We saw this trend as well from March 2022 to July 2023 when the Federal Reserve started hiking interest rates. There are ETFs out there that provide exposure to value stocks like the iShares MSCI Japan Value ETF. On an individual stock basis, some of the top dividend and value names include steel companies like Nippon Steel, GFE Holdings, as well as the biggest Japanese banks. Corporate Japan has been seeing a shift towards more shareholder-friendly policies, and I think it could really have very positive effects on the stock market, that even if the broader economic conditions are very difficult, the perception that shareholders will be better rewarded, it could help sustain interest in Japanese stocks. For example, I believe Toyota actually giving shareholders perks, for example, digital credits, and shareholders of Toyota, I believe they have to hold the shares for a minimum number of years. They are even stand a chance to win essentially tickets to motorsport events. So in the short term, the Nikkei 225 could see some volatility, but over the long run, like all markets do, I believe it will eventually reflect the underlying fundamentals.
And when it comes to trading the Japan market, Phillip Nova is your ideal trading partner. Through the group, the Phillip Capital Group, we have clearing memberships for JPX, CME Group, and SGX, so you have access to all three Nikkei 225 indices. Start trading the Nikkei 225 at just 10 cents a lot. Visit our website and take advantage of this exclusive rate right now.